just remember, we have one chance to make our mark. So make your mark and do it well, regardless of whatever you choose to do with your life. It doesn't make any difference. You don't have to be a chef. You don't have to be whatever. You just have to be what you want to be and do your best. Remember that love should always be a part of it. And love will always get you through really, really, really tough patches. With love, you can survive anything. And just also remember that the old saying go, tough, hard work gets you there.
Yep.
Easy money is not good money, and it doesn't work. It's just, there are no quick fixes. It always takes time.
Okay, welcome to One Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, Adrianne Kautz, and this man that you're seeing on your screen is an absolute legend and the closest that I'm ever going to get to Oprah and the Obamas. World-renowned chef, Art Smith, thank you so much for being on our teeny little podcast.
Well, good morning. It's Sunday. It's the day after Halloween. I gave out 10 cases of candy last night. I can only imagine. My sleep was kind of last night. I think what it was is, you're not really supposed to eat before you go to bed. And I had like not eaten anything because I was really doing stuff. And but I can imagine those parents last night, none of their kids went to sleep either with all that sugar.
We kind of passed out around like 8:30. It had just been such a big day, but I made the mistake of, I overserved myself on the white wine because, it's Halloween.
I quit drinking because of my whole weight thing, because it's so easy to put on the weight with alcohol. And I love wine. Wine's actually not bad for you. I think, but I occasionally, in front of our house is, we live in an old Victorian, and this street was all lined with Victorian. Some of them are in disrepair and some are beautiful. And there was a railroad track that ran through the middle of it, just very common, very typical of those days. And in fact, towards near downtown is an old brick Victorian that my grandmother used to run a boarding house out of. And anyway, I run, now it's a path, I run on that.
Nice.
And I actually ran this morning, but if I run in the evening, there right downtown, there's this tiny little pub that, when I was a kid, my mother was like, "Oh, we don't go there. You don't go there." And I'm like, living in Chicago, the city that is, Chicago has a tremendous bar pub culture.
Oh, it does, yes.
And like Tallahassee does too with the university, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But these rural little towns are a little, but I'll run right up there, and then I'll run in, I'll have a Michelob Light, and then I'll run out. And because I figure it's not bad, so I have that. And but I don't do it very often. But
maybe I'd run if there was alcohol at the end of my run. You're giving me an idea, Art.
Yeah, I remember a famous pop star friend of mine was really involved with a guy that wrote a book that called The Drunk Diet or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and basically he would get intoxicated and like run marathons. And it was just the craziest thing. He looked like Aerosmith, but he called The Drunk Diet, and it was just he I thought it was crazy.
The literal worst idea ever. That cannot be anything.
Everybody kind of has their thing. I have recently, our county is this whole region between Jacksonville and Tallahassee was historically a very agriculturally enriched area. And it's had different stages of agriculture in terms of, from the very years and years, over 100 years ago, it was cotton, and then it was turpentine
Tobacco.
and pine trees, then tobacco, now then phosphate. But as you know now, what the big crop is, what's going on in Quincy,
Yeah, man, that's my hometown. They are on top of that greenery.
and they're opening a place just right across the Withlacoochee here too.
Oh, I love
Um,
it.
and so in our county, they're growing its cousin hemp,
Uh-huh.
and I had never, and I've never really investigated. I was at the Santa Rosa Market and had a cappuccino with hemp milk, and it was quite good. And hemp is a very nutritious, high in amino acids, protein seed. In fact, I think it's even higher than quinoa.
No kidding. And now you're starting to do some stuff with hemp
Right.
products. Is that right?
So I started playing with it, and because I thought it was interesting. And first, I thought and then this is the other thing too. I thought was interesting. Our farm. We still have our historic farm, the family,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to grow tobacco on it, and now I was thinking well, all we have is just a small herd of cattle, and I was saying to my brother, maybe we should grow hemp,
Yeah.
and we can grow it, with part of this group. It's almost like a cooperative they're doing, and they've actually have a processing plant where they're drying it, and then they'll take it from there. But anyway, they make the CBD out of it. But anyway, when I was at that same little bar, someone said they have 300 acres of hemp plant. I'm like, hemp, really? Like here? And so anyway, I started investigating it, and then I had this idea. I'm like, okay, so what happened is my great grandfather made some pretty fine moonshine,
Mm-hmm.
and but I think he drank a lot of it too. Now, my family was always just a little bit embarrassed to talk about it, and I thought he was the first entrepreneur in the family, and then my grandfather's wife was the first hospitality she had the boarding house, so we kind of kept the family. But anyway, I did a play on that because I created this restaurant for Disney called Homecoming.
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's kind of a big deal.
And I created a moonshine bar, and basically it's just it gives honor to him, the first entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And and then I made a cake using it. And in fact, I had this kind of epiphany about this cake. I was staying at a good friend of mine, Ed, who has Weatherstem. Yeah, I don't know if you know Ed Mansouri. And we couldn't live in our house we're in now because it's been redone, and we were staying at his lake house on Cherry Lake. And so I had this idea, and I said, I have this idea. And because what happened was, the number one product in the Caribbean is rum cake. You've seen them everywhere.
Oh yeah, man. And they're so good. Yeah.
And they're popular. And so I felt well, why not have our own kind of cake, but it would be, shine cake, And so anyway, it's very popular, hugely popular. And then I started thinking about the whole thing, and I'm like, why not hemp cake?
Yeah.
And because think about it. Okay, this is, I'm sure you're aware of this, but poppy seed lemon cake, poppy seeds. Yeah. You can't eat poppy seeds if you have to take a drug test.
Right. I've known that for so long. It's like a random piece of knowledge because of the opium.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's kind of, it's kind of funny, the whole thing. I love poppy seed cake, you know what I mean? And I'd love poppy seed babka and all this stuff. But anyway, I thought why not hemp cake? And so I played with that recipe, and I've come up with this cake, and I made it the other day, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought and my whole thing is that I'm trying to, having that entrepreneurial spirit, inspiration, and also kind of born and bred in me. I thought why not? So now my mission now is to create a little bakery. I'm not so interested in the other, and maybe if that were to be, then whatever. But I have a friend who's a chef in Chicago, Mindy Siegel, and she does edibles and stuff like that. But I'm a family chef. Right. I'm more interested in the health benefits of, and also the economic benefits of how this can help change an area. You know, we're going through so much now, but I have to tell you, bad economies can kill us just as fast as the other stuff. Okay, really,
Yeah.
and bad economies creates horrible poverty and other types of horrible stuff. And so to me, it's like my whole thing is I'm really wanting to somehow or another help create. And you know, I'm not a farmer, okay, but I'm a good promoter.
Yeah, you
And
are.
and what I can do is I can help promote it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. I mean, I did it last week on a television, and I think the television people are a little like, okay, what are you doing there? But people loved it. They thought it was funny, and then we did it in an article. And you know, it's just the fact is that I was very close. I said, did you know it's like the number one new cash crop in America is growing hemp.
Well, and it grows so quickly, right?
Right. And in here where we live, you can grow it year round.
Right, because you've got such a temperate climate.
And the reality is this too, is that hemp, and this is not all about hemp, you know, it can be used, you know, the cousin can, there's plenty of use for it. And then the other is whatever, you understand what I'm saying?
But hemp is like, you can use it for clothes, and it's such a renewable crop.
Yes, it's industry. Mercedes, I think BMW puts it in their cars, and the padding.
I think people have built houses out of it. Like it's
exactly
so impressive material. It's very versatile.
Right. It is. So, and it was grown, you know, a long time ago, but they quit growing it. You know what I mean? But anyway, to me, I said to the guy, I said, you know, the scientist behind it is really amazing scientist. I mean, he was a professor at West Point, blah, blah, blah. He did all this kind of great stuff. And he developed Justin's almond butter, you know, that. And
yeah, I love that.
I said, you know, you're the new, you know, the new tobacco, tobacco. So anyway, but, you know, with all of this, you know, and COVID has been really so terrible for people in the restaurant business and hospitality. It's affected us all.
Yeah, but I do think that those industries have been hurt the worst, honestly. Like it's just you know, I can work from home, but you can't serve someone in a restaurant from home.
It's just like me when things got rough, I used to cater. That's what I used to do in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
When I needed cash, I would cater a party.
And that's fun. I was a caterer I worked with Mark Suber for over a decade.
Yeah, I love Mark Suber.
He's the best.
But it's just the thing is, it always was easy money to make and everything. You know, I'm a little bit concerned. You see where England has shut down the country for a month.
Again, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I try not to. One of the things I try to do is not try to read too much only read the news once and that's it. But you know, we're doing tremendous down at the park. I mean, we're doing very well there. People are, and they are amazing with the way they've handled this. I mean, just really amazing. Awesome. And you know, I don't really know. I can't tell you what the outcome. I'm not going to say, well, they should, you know, we should, whatever. You know, I'm just going to focus on taking and protecting my family. And, you know, everyone's well in my family. We have grandma across the street and you know, and the kids, and, you know, it's just the biggest thing with them is just keeping them from being bored. I mean, you know what I mean? Because there's nothing, you can't go to the movie theater. There's nothing, that's one of the other things that was destroyed by COVID was the movie theaters, you know?
Yeah.
And you really wonder if that'll ever come back. I mean, Netflix has become so huge now. I mean, they're bigger than everybody. That I think that now their subscription went up incredible too. So people are just really, you know, it has changed things a lot. So anyway, in the hospitality business, you know, little small restaurants have been really hurt badly. And, you know, a woman from the James Beard Foundation did this kind of public service announcement about the loss of Chinese American restaurants. These small little restaurants are being taken out, And
Because
we
that
have
was
one,
kind of some backlash happened there
right,
with uninformed people thinking that,
right.
yeah.
And we have a really wonderful one here in Jasper of all places. And it wasn't here when I was a kid, but it hits now, and it's great. And I love eating there. I think I love the food, but I also just love eating with chopsticks because I eat slower. But you know, I do love Southern food, which is just as difficult to find than other types of foods now. It's just, it's the quality, you know what I mean? You know, it's just not very good. But
Well, you're never gonna like. There's so much in Southern cooking, and then Chinese cooking. If you're doing it the right way and doing it in an authentic way, which I feel
right,
like you do at Homecoming, is it's so steeped in like culture and history, and there you can't. It's hard to like commercialize something like
right,
that.
very true.
It's just such like a, and it's like a very like personal
Right,
thing, and it's an. I mean, it really is an
right,
art. You have to have the passion, and you can't just have the skill. Like, anyone can learn to use a knife
right,
and do all those things, but you have to really have that like passion for it.
right.
And you know and it's impressive like how many different things you've done over the course of your career, from catering up in Tallahassee. You worked at the Governor's Club, right? um
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Chez Pierre, which I missed. I mean, I was the last time I was in Tallahassee not long ago. I remember being downtown
uh-huh.
and saddened that, you know, once upon a time you could have gotten a croissant and at a cafe au lait downtown.
You can again, because wonderful thing, Al Mignon has moved they're downtown now, which is great, and I think they've been getting a lot of
Yeah,
business.
I
But
mean, Kiara and Rainey did that for years, and that's what some of my roots of just between me there running there and running over to Albert at the Governor's Club, and then, you know, which then I went to the Governor, and I, you know, to be honest with you, in those days I knew how to. I had been taught. I was always good with arranging, you know, the pretty stuff and catering. You need all that, you know, make it
yeah,
pretty.
man, you eat first with your
But
eyes.
I never was really a savory cook, but I could bake.
Yeah.
And Susan Turner at Food Glorious Food taught me how to bake. And I love Susan Turner. And Susan Turner taught me how to make hummingbird cake, which I now,
Is like super famous. Did she have that key lime pound cake when you were there?
oh, it's amazing.
Oh God,
Yeah. And you know, did you know Susan is from my hometown?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Her
My gosh,
father
small
ran,
world.
her mother ran a clothing store called Levine's. And my father and her father used to love and sit and talk all the time. It was just really amazing. But they were just, you know, they're lovely people, but she taught me. I mean, you know, a lot of people went to culinary school. I just worked in Tallahassee and then learned from there. And then I had the most, I had some really, I want two very significant mentors. And there were some other great people, you know, that were there, from, you know, Ron Irabedra is really kind of introduced me to the whole art world, where I started there in Tallahassee doing parties and stuff, Lemoyne. But and but Anella Schomburger,
I knew you were gonna say it. She was such a love.
Anella, and was was so impactful on my life. And I don't know if you got to work with her when you were with Mark Zuber, but you know, her favorite little saying was, "For future reference." And I'm like going, Lord Jesus, if I hear that one more time. But she was tough, but she taught me so many great lessons. And today at 60 years old, which I cannot believe, I say to myself, where is Nella, and what would Nella do, and what would Nella say? And, you know, like I adore her. I mean, she was just an amazing woman, and I'm still missing her so much. And
She was so sweet.
I mean, you know, between her and then Susan Levine Turner, who did so much for me, and Susan now, I've been more close with, because she is so incredibly wise, and her and Steve, and but when I was in school, it was Dick Almerode at the hotel school who really pushed me out there, saying, "You're not a great student, but you're good," you know. But there was a really great guy who I loved very much, and taught me a lot, and that was Ashby Stiff. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
him. Yeah, Ashby was
Legend in
amazing.
Tallahassee.
Yeah, yeah. And I sit here like but I had a lot of mentors. Albert Ugetto. I love Albert and Pierre and Rainey and the list goes on. There are I'm afraid like someone's going to listen to this says what happened to me.
What
But I
about
mean I
me?
just think about
We can add them in a postscript. Don't worry.
yeah. But there was a lot and I'm very grateful and it's truly has and even at 60 years old, I'm still looking for more mentors. I don't think you can live life without having some wise person. And remember, and this is what I've learned by working for, I've cooked for 5 presidents and talk show hosts, blah, 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 all that stuff. One thing I can tell you this, what makes them unique and successful is who they surround themselves with. If you want success, surround yourself with successful people. If you want a life of chaos, surround yourself with people that are drama queens and chaos and everything.
Drama.
And just remember that those people become your reality.
Yeah.
And they become the narrative of your life. And I have like, when anything kind of sparkles a little bit, I attract all kinds of people. And but I'm also like the Saint Francis of Assisi and Mother Teresa with people. Like I want to fix everybody and help people and
bring
stuff
them
like
in,
that.
take them in the flock. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had some sleepless nights, but thank goodness, to your, to great pillows. Yeah, I just that's the toughest thing I find. I see people traveling. Before COVID, I traveled a lot, but I see people with their pillows under their arms, all over the place, and people's pillows have become their teddy bears.
Yeah, and people will. Oh, totally. My sister had a pillow that like our grandfather owned this pillow art. Like my sister it wasn't about that it was giving her a good night's sleep. It was just like you're saying, like a teddy bear, like a security blanket. And we find so many people that are like so emotionally attached to their pillows and then they don't get new ones. And so, but it's hard for people to detach that like personal connection from it. That's a struggle that we've had. We kind of have to change the way people think about it. One of the things that I love about you is that even though, you've done so many amazing things, like you've cooked for presidents and then cooked for Oprah and you know all these people, you do all these things. And some people would think, I've done pretty well. I can sit back, I can relax, but you're always doing something like your hemp cake. You just have that natural drive that I think you just have that entrepreneurial spirit. You're never sitting still.
Right. You can't get too comfortable. You have to stay relevant. Yeah. And just remember, people forget really quickly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, and you can't base your success on other people. You have to forge your own way. I'm trying to be a dad, and I'm telling you, it's tough. Oof.
And you've got teenagers.
Yeah, and it is very tough. And they're very smart. They're very observant. Their things, and they keep you in check.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's all a lesson, so it's great. But anyway,
you are just like, you remind me of Mark in that you have that just like sweet sense about you. I just have a soft spot for chefs after working with Mark for so long. There's just something about it that really like binds you together. It's the hardest job I ever had. I worked so damn hard at that job, but it was the most fun,
Shared a common thread, and Mark, amazing mother, Adelaide, and mine, Addie Mae.
I didn't realize. Yes.
I want to tell you something. And of course, Mark's father. I mean, he had wonderful parents, and parents have a huge influence on him. And I had an incredible mother. I had a sweet father who was also very, very tough.
Yeah.
And I was watching Saving Mr. Banks. I love that movie. I've only seen it this morning my second time, but Walt was talking to to the, you know, the
the
author of,
right?
Mary Poppins,
Mm-hmm.
and she was haunted by her past with her father, and he gets down to the fact that Mr. Banks is actually her dad. You know, her dad was a banker and that kind of stuff. But it was, and he was saying that Elias Disney, his father, ran a paper route and how tough he was, and being in Kansas and cold. It was really interesting. I love Mr. Disney. I think, I spent 20 something years in Chicago. Mr. Disney was born in Chicago. And, so he's an amazing man when I go down there to work, I always think about, it was that one man's idea. And it also, as he said, all started with a mouse. And I didn't realize either that in the very beginning, it was just supposed to be called Disney World.
Uh-huh.
And Walt's brother, Roy, had it changed to Walt Disney World. And, it's truly amazing, and my hopes and dreams are, will the world produce more Walt Disneys or Einsteins and some other amazing people, I think it's important, and to sum it all up is that just remember, we have one chance to make our mark. So make your mark and do it well, regardless of whatever you choose to do with your life. It doesn't make any difference. You don't have to be a chef. You don't have to be whatever. You just have to be what you want to be and do your best. Remember that love should always be a part of it. And love will always get you through really, really, really tough patches. With love, you can survive anything. And just also remember that the old saying tough, tough, hard work gets you there.
Yep.
Easy money is not good money, and it doesn't work. It's just, there are no quick fixes. It always takes time. But have fun. I mean, I always tell myself, when I don't have fun anymore, I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm really trying much to do that. And take time for yourself. It's Sunday. It's actually just had a little rain outside. I don't know if it's raining in Tallahassee.
It's nice here, actually.
Huh?
It's actually nice here for once.
Yeah, but it's been truly a pleasure.
Art, you're a delight, and I'm so appreciative that you wanted to chat with us and take time out of your day. I'm going to ask you one last question. I ask everyone, how do you sleep at night? Do you sleep on your side, on your back? How long are you sleeping? Give us the deets.
I sleep on my side. I suffer badly from sciatica, so I find myself going back and forth. And even with my weight loss of 70 pounds, I still have problems with it. But I do that, and I like I sleep with a very firm pillow, and I don't like a lot of stuff on top of me when I sleep. I'm like the one just likes a sheet or a very light blanket.
Yeah.
And I'm also one that, like, I'm very light sleeper. So if I get touched or if I hear a voice, I wake up, and I usually, even if I go to bed 9 or 10, whatever, which is about that time, sometimes a little later, I always wake up at 4 in the morning, always 4 a.m. I'm up.
Oh my gosh.
And then I go back to sleep, but then I'm back up at 6 with the kids. But there you have it.
Oh my gosh. Well,
But I'm also a big believer in cat naps.
Oh, I love a nap. We need to have a napping society.
Yeah.
Right,
Siestas.
man.
Yeah.
Spain is doing it. Well, Art, again, thank you so much. So nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
You're such a treat.
Yeah, you're welcome, dear. Y'all take care.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.